It's the most intense game of Scrabble ever. Me, the reigning wing champion, against Uncle Fester. Uncle Fester, because he looks just like Uncle Fester. The stakes are high. Winner gets to slap the loser in the face as hard as he can, or forfeit 1 week's canteen. 2 things I know. 1, no cunt is slapping me in the face. 2, I ain't giving up my canteen. What, are you nuts? Time to blow Fumey Fester out the water. I lay down my word. Quetzal. Right, I tell him. That's 75 for the triple word score, plus an extra 50 for using all my letters. So, 125 points. But Fester ain't having none of it. He's like, no. Fuck that. That ain't a word. Don't try it. Quetzal. I tell him it's a bird. Well, I've never heard of it. Well, luckily, Fez, when they invented the game, they didn't say, oh, players can only use words that Uncle Fester has heard of. All of a sudden, Benji, back from an escorted visit, bounces onto the wing, totally oblivious to what he's interrupting. Or you lot, well, you ain't gonna believe this. Guess what I just seen sitting in reception, feeling all sorry for himself? You'll never guess. Go and have a guess. Terry fucking Abbots. My old cellmate. My old mucker. 3 weeks he survived. Just 3 freaking weeks before he got up to his old tricks. That's all he knows how to do. Nick stuff. Where was the early intervention? Where were the people who analyse and study this shit? And I know there are people who analyse and study this shit because I've analysed and studied this shit. A 2-1 degree in criminology acquired within the first few years of my sentence, and I used Terry as a case study. Terry grew up in care. I'm talking 9 different children's homes. And he'd heard from someone somewhere, probably a well-meaning social worker trying to steer him down the right path, that kids who grow up in care are way more likely to end up in prison. So for Terry, it was a rite of passage. And secondly, Terry was bored to death by school. He hated it. Terry is what they call nowadays neurodiverse. Plus, he developed anxiety from being bullied in school. He'd been excluded 3 times, and the school suspension to prison sentence pipeline is a path travelled by many a prisoner before Terry. And thirdly, Terry was homeless. He wasn't always on the streets exactly. He told me he spent more than a few nights in a shed on some allotment in New Cross, and another time in a derelict warehouse overrun with rats that he had to sleep in a hammock so they couldn't get to him. But for the most part, what Terry called home was temporary accommodation, squats, hostels and prison cells. Can you imagine the amount of money spent on Terry since he first come into contact with the criminal justice system? You know it cost about 100 grand a year to keep an adult in prison, and anything up to $250,000 a year for a young offender. Compare that with the cost of, say, a pupil at Eton College, for example, a measly 46 grand a year. Terry had entrepreneurial ideas, you know, and he had this idea for what he called Caribbean cook-up kit, which people could buy from supermarkets. It'd include all the ingredients, herbs and spices for the top Jamaican dishes. Nowadays, there's a whole lot of companies doing this very thing for all types of cuisine. You see, the thing about ideas is that they're overrated. Good ideas or bad ideas, just leaves blown in the wind. It's the action that counts. It's the support that counts. It's the doing that counts. Here's an idea to get off on. What if they'd have given Terry, say, I don't know, 25 grand and a business mentor or something? Someone to prod and keep him motivated. He would have cornered the market. The Quetzal was a noble bird, full of colour and life. It's meant to soar. Quetzals can't handle being locked up. They'll just wither away and die. Terry out there on the streets. You'd think he was free. But it was homelessness that proper clipped his wings, that had him caged before he'd ever set foot in a prison. Like the Quetzal, He was bright and brilliant. But like the caged Quetzal, he's never given a chance to show his true colours. When Terry was released with no fixed abode, i.e. homeless, he was given a £76 discharge grant, a tent and a fucking sleeping bag. Poor cunt never stood a chance. It's early evening later that day. I tap on my door and Officer Peters unlocks my cell. Ezra, he tells me, your boy's in a bit of a state. Is it okay if I chuck him in here with you? Go on then, Gov. Terry steps into view. He looks well sheepish. All right, Ezra. You dumb fuck, I tell him. And he's like, oh, bruv, please don't start. I've had a nightmare a couple of weeks. And I'm like, get in here, you muppet. You want hot chocolate? I've got some hobnob somewhere. And he's like, yeah, fuck it, go on then. Not exactly overflowing with options here, am I?